You're listening to the Limitless Business Podcast with Kaye Putnam and Scott Oldford. I am so energetic right now, and the reason why I'm so energetic is because Michael Gebben's energy is just like so ridiculously. It's like chicken pox, man. Michael, I appreciate you coming on today. How's it going?
Well, that analogy of being the first time I've ever heard that. So,
Yes.
Not sure if that's positive or negative. I guess it just means it's everywhere.
Oh,
Extremely contagious.
And contagious as well. So, yeah, I'm pumped to be here.
that's what I was going for, but then I was like, I can't remember that word. That's all good. So listen, man. So I mean, okay. So one of the things. So Michael. I mean, I don't know his full story outside of just seeing his videos and stuff on Facebook and just the amount of energy. I remember I just sent him a quick. Back when I first met you, I sent just like a quick 15-second clip, and you sent me back a clip being like, yeah, keep rocking, Scott. I was like, holy crap, this guy's amazing. And ever since that, I mean, you've worked with like Tony Robbins and Richard Branson and all these amazing people when it comes to your video work and production company and that type of thing. Now you switch gears, which I assume you're now following, probably you were passionate about this and now you're passionate about something different as your passions change and that type of thing. So let's just talk, first off, let's just talk about a little bit of I want to know the story of how you got to work with like Tony Robbins and Richard Branson, these people, just quickly, because that's just my selfish question. Sorry.
Well, I'll go as quick as possible. It'll still be 3 minutes on this at least. So started a company when I was 19, right out of college, or right out of high school, no college.
Nice.
And I went down a crazy path of doing everything under the blue moon that I could point a video camera at, from funeral slideshows to weddings to dance recitals to, filming Pentecostal church services where there was barbed wire and I was fearing for my life. But I did all of that. But back in 2010, I was really, really, really stressed, really, really overwhelmed. I didn't want to answer the phone. I didn't want to go to the movies. Nothing. And why was that? Because I was in a good place for my business, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so what happened was I did so many weddings. I was 9 months behind from delivering weddings, and I thought, oh my God, like if a couple sees me at the movie theater, they're going to be pissed off, right? And naturally, if they call me, they're probably going to be upset. And so I found a site called Zen Habits, and there was a guest post from Tim Ferris on there. And I started reading some of his stuff. I read the book, and he talks about reaching the unreachable and in his book. And so within 2 months of reading the book, and you would, knowing Tim Ferriss's book, The 4 Hour Work Week, would assume that Tim Ferriss is very unreachable and difficult to get a hold of. But within 2 months of reading the book, he announced his launch party for the 4 Hour Body. And I had seen some stuff. I was virtually stalking the website, and he said, you know what? One of these kids said, I need to get a refund. And because he wasn't 21 and he needed to be 21 or older. And so what happened was he said, email blank at 4hourbody.com or whatever. And I thought, I'm going to email that and just see what happens. And this will tie into stuff here that you guys already want to talk about. So I emailed that. Within 1 hour, I got a reply from his assistant, and I crapped my pants. I went nuts. I was like, holy cow, this guy. I mean, it was my first, whatever. And so I got really excited. And, I reached out to do the video, and this is part of how I've done things. I always want to give. I always want to provide massive value. And I understand that now. I don't know that I fully understood what I was doing back in the day, but I just wanted to give. I knew that the book, because when I read his book, mind you, it really did spark the inner entrepreneur inside of me again. And so I just wanted to give back. I'm like, I'm going to be at this thing. It was like $10 for a ticket, but I live in this little small town in Illinois. This was in New York, and I actually had something the following day. So I was like, I'll be there anyways, but I don't want to be that guy, who shows up with my camera. I'd rather just have you tell me yes or no, but either way, I'll see you. And so I got the reply. They're like, yes. And I said, I do it for free. So I flew out on Tuesday. This was on a Friday. On that night, I got notified. The next Tuesday, I was flying to New York City, $300 for the ticket. And I got there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon after the party. I got to meet Tim and everything. After the party, I went back, slept on the baggage claim, and I came back home. I had a job the next day. And so from that point forward, I got to film Tim's kimono event, which was like a $10,000 per person event. made some life-changing connections there, mainly one. And after that, I had seen this friend of mine basically announce that he was going to a UPW. A Date with Destiny. And the Date with Destiny for him and his wife was $14,000. And at that time, I was still much scarcity mindset and was like, I am not going to be able to ever go to one of those. That will not happen. That is really expensive. Because somebody had told me about Tony. At the time, I was still very naive to really who Tony Robbins actually was. Some of you might be like, this kid's crazy, but I didn't know. And then a few weeks later, he announced the UPW. And that was $500. And it was shock and awe. And I was like, I got this, $500. No problem, right? But I thought, you know what? Let's actually try the Tim Ferris route on this. Instead of even paying $500, why don't I actually find Tony Robbins' personal email address and email him and tell him I would love to film, his event. Well, that didn't go so well. I didn't really hunt down Tony's email too easily, but I did use Google to find another Tony Robbins, like at Tony Robbins email. Lo and behold, was actually a security guard that I've become good friends with. I found this, and I emailed and just was like, this is what's going on. This is who I am. This is what I would love to do for you guys. This is what it looks like. And lo and behold, I got an email back a week later, and they said, we will forward this on to marketing. If they like what they see, they'll get back to you. And if not, good luck to you. A week or so after that, I got an email from marketing, and that was in December of 2012. And in April of 2012, I was standing at the bottom of the Four Seasons and waiting for the elevator doors to open. Tony walks out. I shake his hand. I jump in a black SUV looking like the FBI, and then we go onto the helicopter pad. We fly over New York, me, Tony, and Sage, and we land at the Meadowlands in New York City, and I walk out onto a stage with 5,000 people, and I was like in tears because the biggest amount of people I'd ever been in front of was 300 people at a wedding. And then from there, we've gone to Palm Springs and Fiji with him, and I filmed all the interviews for his book that he just brought out.
Yeah.
And so when you've heard him talk about the Carl icon and how he kicked out.
Yeah. I remember seeing a post on that. So you guys got kicked out of the room.
Yep. So.
Oh man!
Wow, that is absolutely incredible.
so the lesson in that, I guess.
I could keep going, but I want to make sure, like we talked about ahead of time, that I don't just keep talking. So next question.
But what's really interesting is that like a lot of the people that you actually think are out of reach are not that out of if you want to get in front of someone, in saying that you had to have some value, there's no point to, email, I don't know, try to get in contact with Richard Branson if you have no real value to add. But if you have something that's actually going to be valuable for that person, it's really easy to get in contact. I've been trying to get really, this year I really want to kind of up the ante on this podcast. So I bring people like Michael on, but there's a lot of people that I'm not connected to that I want to have on. And I've just started kind of hacking of how I can get in contact with that person. And people are a lot more responsive. Either people are a lot more responsive or they get a lot less email than you expect them to.
I want to add one thing in for everybody. It's a backdoor strategy, and this will help people out. But the reality is, if you heard correctly, I didn't go and get a hold of Tony Robbins, nor anybody high up. It was his security guard.
Yeah.
And if you can go the backdoor route and find the girlfriend, the wife, the friend, or whatever, it become. I could list off 50 other things that I've done. If you know the TV show Supernatural, I got my girlfriend to be able to meet the main actors from using this strategy. Dude, endless. But it's all providing value, mind you. I'm always trying to give my skill set. It's not just like, hey, I'd love to meet you. I'm a really nice, fun person with lots of energy. Let me meet you. It's like never that. So
right.
So yeah,
that's
the back door. Don't go for the kill. The jugular is hard to get all the time. So
I love that. What's before we kind of move into kind of a little bit more on the storytelling part of what we're going to be talking about in the rest of the podcast? Is there any times where simply you couldn't get in front of that person?
Yeah, well, that's what this will tie into. It's the she said before,
the transition
right into story, right? The worst thing's going to happen is you get a no, and you get a no when you don't ask. And so aren't all of us afraid of the no? Aren't all of us fearing the rejection, the failure, it not working out? I look like an idiot. What happens if they don't like me? Like, there's a million things we tell ourselves. And the reality is, for every Tony Robbins and Tim Ferris, there's 90 other people who didn't respond to me, who never got back to me, who it didn't work out with. They didn't want it. I mean, whatever. But the other part of this is that if you reframe your mind to believe and start to own the fact that actually all your worst fears are coming true when you don't act. So when you're not trying, when you're not asking, when you can't even get a no, then actually all the worst things are already happening. Like it's already failing. It's already not working out. Like you gotta know, right? But at least when you ask, there's an opportunity for something good to happen. Does that mean it'll happen? No, but there's an opportunity. But without asking, it's a guaranteed the negative. Yeah. So that's how I frame my mind. And and I've learned to just not take it personally. I mean, hell, half the time, Scott, how the heck hard are you to get a hold of? If you don't have a connection, right? Yeah. And so the reality is that's the world. But sometimes, a thing that changed my life was, I'm tying this all in. I know the purpose you're going for here. So hopefully this all makes sense. But to tie in how these things work and providing value. So a lot of you know who Jonathan Fields is, who probably has listened to this Good Life Project. So I went on his website, I was reading things, was really inspired. He had a phone number. I couldn't believe it. So I called the phone number and I left a message. And I was like, hey, Michael Gebben here. I've done X, Y, and Z. And you know what? Your stuff's really, touched me and really inspired me. Nugget here, I only do this for people that I am selfishly inspired by, not for random, acts of like, I think this person will change my life. I don't know who the hell they are, but somebody told me that I should contact them. It's always out of a selfish, this person touched my life, right? So I reached out, said, I'd love to help you out in any way I can, if you need video, whatever. No response. I pretty much expected that. No response. And then I went online and I actually added him as a friend on Facebook. Well, lo and behold, he actually accepted the friend request. He didn't have 5,000 yet. Still no response. And so instead of being the douchebag that goes on and then sees him post something and then comments with hey, I messaged you, man. Did you get that message? I assumed that he probably heard it, but you shouldn't assume either. But regardless, I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll just stay on his radar. I'm not going to do that by being like I just mentioned and saying, hey, when it's like, I'm going to see this movie tonight. I'm like, hey, man, you didn't respond to me. It's like, oh, that's a cool movie. I really enjoyed that. That's it. And I just did some stuff like that just to kind of stay top of mind, because I learned top of mind is really important. And so lo and behold, he responded. I don't know if we got there, but I'll keep on going because you're right there. I'm looking at So finally, he I do want to make sure it's a recording. I don't know if you edit this.
Yeah, it's recording.
Sure. Okay.
I think Scott's still here. We just lost his video.
Yeah, I was losing. Keep going.
I hate for another 30 minutes and lose things. So basically, he actually did reply. And he's like, hey, man, I just want to let you know I actually got your message. It's been a little crazy, but I'd love to touch base. Now, that was still 3 or 4 weeks after the initial voicemail. I didn't even get him on the phone for another couple months after that. And then we finally connected, because what I found with really influential people, if you don't fit into their game plan right now, they're not going to take the time to mess with you, regardless of what it is that you offer. And so he didn't have a need for my video services or anything, free or not, even if it was free, right? And so finally, just things connected. I kind of stayed top of mind. We jumped on the phone and had a great conversation, jumped on Skype actually. And much like we did Scott together, we just talked. And then that was it. And a few months later, which ended up more or less a year from my initial phone call, no transactions, nothing ever happened, just really the one Skype within a year. And then I put up a picture of me and my grandpa. And it said, I'm so grateful that I've built a life that I get to walk with my grandpa at the mall every day. That was it. Within 5 minutes of posting that, Jonathan Fields messaged me and said, I really think you'd be a perfect candidate for the Good Life Project. And It all started with a phone call with nothing more than thank you for being who you are. And if there's any way that I can help you, here's how I also caveat, this is how I can help you. Not just like I'm a person if you need help, but here's the service I provide. I can do video. If there's anything I can do to help or even just some advice or whatever, just let me know.
Well, it's very much like you posted the other day on Facebook saying, hey, listen, this year I want to have 50,000 people that I'm in front of physically, not just virtually, physical people. And of course, we're planning the next Limitless Business Day in Newfoundland. And I was like, who's better to pump up the 100 people, 125 people in that room than Michael? I mean, literally, in terms of pumping people up, I think you're almost on par with like Tony Robbins. I mean, I'm just saying this. Seriously, I mean, like it's the exact same energy level, but it's just like this authentic energy that just like surrounds you like a blanket. And
not TikToks, that's better. Blankets are better.
Yes, exactly. Man, I've been working on that one for the last 10, 15 minutes. Okay, I've been working on that. Okay.
Just to add a quick comment to this conversation, I think I read it from Chris Brogan just in passing recently, but he said something like, "Do people know you well enough to like you or to help you?" I think that's really interesting about you posting about your grandpa is you gave people a chance to know you and like know what your values were. So that was kind of the catalyst in that relationship, which is really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, a lot of people may have just like put it on their website that they were speaking or whatever, not actually ask. Because, people are like, oh, well, some people are like, oh, that's desperate. And to me, that's not desperate at all. It's like saying, hey, listen, this is something I do. As soon as I see that, I message them and I was like, hey, listen, you need to be on the podcast. And 2, we need to have a call because you need to come to Newfoundland so that you can get screeched in, A, and B, you can rock the world of, 125 entrepreneurs. And that opportunity would have never, ever, ever happened. Probably wouldn't have been on the podcast. And maybe, but that speaking opportunity would have never came up because I would have never actively seeked him for that. But then I was like, holy shit, yeah.
Put it out there again. Guys, what did I have to lose by putting it out to the world?
Nothing.
But I had a lot more to gain by doing it. And it's the bottom line. And the reality is, though, I did a video once that I'll tie into a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, obviously. Well, I did a video that I put up. I did this thing on LinkedIn, and I just messaged a whole bunch of – it was some pseudo-individual, pseudo-mass messaging, and this was still back in the day. And I was, messaged all these people, but the first time I did it, I went through like half my contacts. And, a week went by, and I barely got anybody to respond. And I'm like – all right, and it really was just this like, hey, we don't reach out enough and just say hello, right? Just happy, whatever. Have a great week, have a great year, I didn't even, but then it had a PS. This was when I started my YouTube channel. Like, PS, I'm doing these videos, I want to have an impact, So I'm coming from a place of giving. Guy emails me, he says, I got to tell you, man, he goes, it all started out good until the PS. He goes, then I just really thought you were going to the total douche move and trying to sell me something. And I thought to myself, what? I am not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to help people and impact, right? This is my mindset. This guy didn't know me from Adam. The interesting part is I asked other people who knew me, and they're like, no, like I didn't get that at all. But it's because they knew me and knew my intentions. He didn't. So you can never assume what others are going to think about you. And so what I did was I removed the PS, actually sent another freaking 500 messages out that next day within 24 hours. Within hours, because I recorded my video that afternoon, I had like 15 responses, which were 12 more than I had gotten in a week the prior time. And all of them were like, who are you, man? What's up with you? Now I got a second opportunity to have, it's kind of that twofold. So instead of going for kill, I just sent out awesomeness. People responded. Now I can say, well, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. Business came out of that. So sometimes we're a little impatient and we want everything now. And when we want everything now, we lose.
Yeah.
So
and that is so big. I mean, I'm putting out a book a couple of weeks from now. Well, when would this air? It'll already be out. And I'm setting up lunches and dinners in Toronto for next week when I'm there, and I get people first on the mindset thing. They're like, what's the cost? I'm like, what do you mean, what's the cost? I mean, whatever lunch or dinner costs. And, I had a bunch of people be like, no, I mean, how do you make money? I'm like, no, I don't make money. I mean, me knowing you is far more worth than any monetary value, which I always believe at any point in life. So that's the first thing that I find so hilarious, because they're coming from the mindset of how do I make money on everything I do. I come from the mindset of
that's where you lose.
Yeah, exactly, right. I mean, I'd be pretty unsuccessful bringing strangers together and charging them. I think that's a horrible idea. And then on the second point that you had there, when I'm in the process right now of going through all 2,200 connections on LinkedIn, and I've just sorted them by known, know well, and don't know. And there's like 1,700 under don't know. I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. I have no idea when it says when we were connected in like 2011. I go back to my email, nothing there. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So what I'm doing is I'm going through every single person, and I'm essentially recording a video message to every single person.
Hustle, baby.
Individually. And I'm just saying, hey, listen, if I don't know them, I want to schedule a 15-minute phone call. If I do know them but not really well, I want to do a longer Skype video call or invite them out to lunch or dinner if I'm around or two. If I do know them well, I want to be like, hey, listen, we haven't talked in 3 months, 6 months, whatever. What can I do to help you in your world right now? 2,200 people. If I get that done in 2015, which I am going to do, that is going to change my world. Right? Like knowing it's about, I mean, I can talk about this. It's about, truly getting to know people and truly offering value and never expecting anything back, just knowing that the universe is going to give that back to you at some point.
Yep.
I live, man. Yep. 100%.
Love it.
So I love the fact that you already did it. Oh,
I know.
Great.
I know. It's amazing. I was thinking of you, Scott, when he was talking about that. So Michael, when people come to you and they're like, yeah, that's great, but you're a videographer and you have something specific to offer. That's great, but insert excuse XYZ. What do you tell them?
It's funny, I don't get caught off guard too often. So you're saying, what is the exact, like I go to somebody and say, I'm a videographer, I can offer videos, and then they ask.
No, like if somebody wants to duplicate your success or to take your advice of just reaching out to people and providing value, and I'm sure you get a lot of pushback and excuses.
So I have a specific skills. Right. Okay. So here's the thing. First of all, I deal with a lot of creatives. So there's a lot of people who, you're a writer, a copywriter, an editor, you're an artist, you're a photographer, you're a graphic designer, you're a web designer. I mean, a lot of people have skill sets that they could still do things for. They're very needed skill sets that everyone needs. And so for me, it's that idea of, one, you're already losing if you're already saying those things. Well, good luck for you, because you're this guy who makes cool videos, and obviously it's easy for someone. You're losing. You don't want to take that mindset. It's just when people say that, I know it's a cliche thing, give value, help. But here's the thing. Like, what are you really willing to do in general, no matter who you are or what you have to offer the world? What are you actually willing to do for other people in general without this expectation that they'll pay you? Going to dinner. This automatic expectation that Scott should be getting paid or they should be paying for it or whatever means they go into their whole life thinking, I'm not even going to talk to this person unless they're paying me. I'm not going on Scott's podcast unless he gives me freaking $350. I'm not going to do anything for anybody unless they give me money. And so when you go at the world with that mindset, it doesn't matter your skill set or who you are, you're going to lose. And you're probably the guy who sits around all day waiting for the phone to ring, for the emails to come in, for all these things to happen to you, for you to win the lottery when you don't buy lottery tickets. Like, that's that person's mindset. So I just say, think of who you are. And it can be simple things. I mean, I've heard a lot of guys like, I'm getting coffee for somebody. Like, I'll stay out of your way. And you always want to frame things, though, that you won't be a pain in their ass. That's the bottom line. Because some people, depending on their level of status, don't need a person to babysit, right? They don't need somebody that's going to conflict and waste their time. So you want to make sure that when you do something for somebody, because I mean, I've heard it and I've had it happen. Some people you're like, I can't even give a video away. is because they've got to think of how they can do it, what they got to do with it, all these things. It's just like, look, your event's happening. I'll be there like a freaking ninja. You won't even know I'm there. And at the end, you're going to end up with a really cool video. Like, I don't need to be babysat. I don't need to have you figure out what I should do. I know what I can do, and I'll just do that. You don't even have to think about it. And I think that the more you do that for people, and just whatever it is, as simple as the getting coffee, look, I just want to, and some of this has to happen with local. Like, some of this is not stuff that you can just do for anybody anywhere all the time. Like, I have to fly to make a video for somebody, right? I have to go somewhere. But that's the big thing. Do not come, because when I was the kid who thought $14,000 was an expensive event and thought I could never go to that Tony Robbins event, the reality was I was there a year later, basically, actually exactly a year later. I was at that event getting paid to do it. And that really, I'd already had other things. So it wasn't that I fully believed in that moment that nothing like that would ever happen, but there were a lot of elements of that, but it did. And so I always now, it's like always coming from a place of just, as they say it, the abundance and giving and providing value. And it's hard to think that way. I have a friend right now, I was just with this morning, he makes $100,000 a month speaking.
Wow.
And he does the same stuff I'm talking about. He's like, I did this one little gig and I did it somewhere, it was I was in a magazine, they asked me to speak, I didn't charge them, and then I went to it. And then this one people that were in the group has led to a year-long contract for the last 3 years where he comes in once a month and does a speech that was at a free thing that he did. And I can't tell you the amount of things that I have done for free. And I have to tie this in just so people know with the free, because some people I've done free videos or free whatever for the last 10 years. It's not led me anywhere but more free. Don't have people come to you asking you to do something for free. Those relationships almost never work out. They'll suck you dry until you can't be sucked anymore, right? It's everything I'm mentioning. I went out forward. I asked them to do it. And so that's the big shift. And on top of that, you have to know when to just end up charging in general. Plus, the free work that I do is always, like, as selfish as this is, the client doesn't have much say in what I create. I'm going to create what I want to create because I want to have a piece that I'm also proud of. Not just I went and made a video because they let me make a video and then I end up with something I'm not even proud of that I can't even promote. I want a video that I'm like, holy crap. And if you go on the homepage of my website, half those videos were free, and I won't tell you who, but there's big profile people on there were free. One of them I've already mentioned, which was Tim Ferris. And so, but that doesn't mean that everybody else knows that whole story I put it out there a lot now, but it is what it is now. But a lot of it, it's like, they don't know that, but it gives me a lot of credibility because if Tim Ferris believed in me, even if it was free, then somebody else can potentially take a chance on me. A lot of people just don't want to take a chance on people. But at the time, I had no other connections when I reached out to Tim Ferris, because that's a big, storytelling here. Like, everybody thinks, well, I don't know anybody. I don't have any connections. I don't have any value. They just, all these things they don't have. You don't need to have anything. Just have a big heart and go out there and just do it, and things will start to happen. It doesn't, Scott, you know that we talk about, that happened a couple years ago like it happened yesterday. But the reality is it was a couple years ago, or it was 4 years ago. Like, I have been doing stuff like this since 2004. That's when I did some of my first video work as a junior in high school. And so this has been a continuation of me always over-delivering, doing my best, and just trying to blow people away. And now I understand what I did in the past, but it was in my DNA. But I believe everybody can find that in them to just shift their mindset, give unconditionally with no expectations of anything in return. And yes, they will be paid back dividends. Maybe not immediately, but they will. So,
dude, I gotta get you here. You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Like, it's so awesome. And just to speak on the whole, like, knowing people, like Kay, you can account for this. Like, beginning of 2014, I've added at least 800 new people that I really like to the people that I know, right? I don't want to say to add it to my network because it's bullshit. Like, I hate the whole kind of network thing, right? And I hate the whole networking thing. Business cards should die. But, and it was really easy. It's like one person connects you to the other at the end of the day, right? at the end of the day, almost anybody is within 3 connections of Tim Ferris. You know what I mean? Like if you had something really burning, you're within 3 connections of basically anybody. And it's really simple. But the problem that I think people get at, and gee whiz, this is the 3rd time I've talked about this today, is the whole self-worth, self-limiting of, hey, I don't deserve to talk to Tim Ferris, and that's like, was there a point where, because like when I listen to you, like you have true, raw, authentic confidence because of what you've done, right? Most people don't have that. So and that's definitely learned. You get, I feel like you earn confidence. Like you either fake confidence or you earn confidence. So
if you're asking, did I have well, one, if I've always been this way, and 2, did I have any like, self-doubt of whether or not I should reach out to Tim Ferris? Mind you, again, 2004. That was the end of 2010. The 19-year-old me, and there's one guy who's been in my life since I officially opened my doors in 2006. There's a guy who's known me the whole time. He pointed out to me is when I was 19, as much like anyone else, who's going to take me seriously? Who's going to pay a premium for me? Why does anybody care about me? I don't have any value. I don't have this. I mean, name 1.5 million other things. The reality is I had none of that confidence. In fact, I did a video yearbook for my senior class, and I watched it the other day where I interviewed everybody. This was my senior, and I had mine. Let me do an impression really quick for you. Hold on. Hi, guys. So I need to do this video, and I'll ask you the same questions that I asked me. So where do I see myself in 10 years? You get the picture, okay? And so I was I was weird. I even had a lisp thing that I couldn't even do right now, and I was like, I look back, I'm like, is that really me? Who the heck was that guy? But I also have a video you can share with everybody. It's my first in front of the camera YouTube video. And that was in about 2010. It was a little bit better, but nowhere near what you're seeing today or what you see on my YouTube channel today. So things take time, but I had done a lot of work I became proud of. And I think that for me, I'm a person back up against the wall. And reality was 2010 was it's put up or shut up. I can't take it anymore. I'm so stressed out. I read this book. It lit me up like a firecracker. And I think part of it was being naive. Having no idea. I didn't know that there was this unreachable people even necessarily. I just was like, holy crap, this book, it lit a fire. I mean, I used to have a candy machine business in high school and all this other random stuff. And I was like, this is what I've been whatever. And so the only thing I knew how to do, I had done a free video in October, right after I read the book, that led to $80,000 worth of freelance work that following year. That's the same video that I showed to Tim, because when I sent that, the only work I had mainly done were weddings. And I'm like, what can I send him? He's having a party. I don't want to send him a wedding video. That isn't even relevant. And I don't know why that's the way I thought, but I did. And I'm like, well, I'll send him this Halloween party. And I sent him that. And Charlie, his assistant, was like, I said, why did you pick me? Short of obviously it was free. But at the same time, he was like, we had other people contact us. And we chose you because you sent us the most relevant thing. A lot of these guys were sending us wedding videos and whatever. And, I had sent them something that looked like what they were going to be doing so they could put themselves in that video and the experience. But at the time, in regards to confidence with that one, it was just solely out of frustration and I don't care. And then that did build up. Thank God it happened, but it did give me a whole new level of confidence. But that also did teach me, which I'm just telling everybody, this is the whole point of the whole thing, which back to the same phrase, which the worst thing's going to happen is you get to know, and you get to know when you don't ask. I'm living proof. I have a multitude of friends who are living proof now. Anybody probably already has somebody in their life that's living proof. But if you can just own this for me for 1 second this year and just start trying some things and don't give a crap about what happens, just start doing it. I realized if my mouth's not moving, I'm not making money, because I sat back with the lie of the internet will give you all the business you need. So we wait for the phone to ring. We wait for the emails to come in. But man, I just pure outreach. And part of it's deep connections and relationships, and part of it is just doing it. You only get better at sales. You only get better at being confident or talking when you actually try to even embody those things at all. I'd rather talk to 30 people and only one person does business with me, but at least I got to talk to 30 people and practice.
Yeah.
I could try something different on every person, tell every person a different price. I mean, whatever, but at least I get to learn. So rather than talk to one person. So
I love that. And outside of that, I mean, we talked about this the other day. Both of us just love talking anyways. Like we'll literally talk to anyone. I mean, I'm sure at some point we'll get too busy to just talk to anyone. But I mean, I don't know. I just love talking to people.
Well, Les Brown, if you guys follow Les Brown at all, I watched a video recently from him, and he said, you got to do something that you love and do it so well that people pay you to do it. And then he giggles, or he doesn't giggle yet. I ruined it. Dang gummit, but oh well. He says that, and then he goes on. He goes, it's kind of like talking, with my speaking. He goes, it's kind of like talk. I love to talk. He goes, so I find people who will pay me to talk to them. And he goes, and he giggles and stuff. And I'm like, damn, that's it. Like my mom's been telling me since I was 12 years old that if I could get paid to talk, and I never understood it. I mean, whatever. But it was like now, like I get it. I love it. This interview could go on for another 8 hours. Everybody be worn out. There'd be at least one guy still listening to it. But I mean, I get fired up by this. And so that's my goal now. I mean, just perspective for people. Like I had no anything in the space that we're doing. You're not looking at me as much as the videographer as you keep telling people, saying how much energy and all that.
I mean, well, like
over and over and over and over again doing this, but who am I? I'm no speaker. I know this. I know that. I'm just a video guy. That's what I used to tell myself. And I had to make shift, just like a person who has a 9-to-5 job who says, how can I be this? How could I do this? How could I work with this? Everyone has an excuse. How are you going to shift that excuse into a solution? You can solve your problem of, I don't have this, that, and the other thing, instead of, I'm a freaking badass who's going to make it happen. I don't know how, but you do it. And so anyways.
Yeah, and the thing is, it doesn't take long for the people that follow you and the people that are around you. You guys are laughing. I'm not sure what you're laughing at anymore.
I don't know why she's laughing. I'm laughing at this like profile picture I see you kind of like holding down by your belt.
I was laughing at his reaction because it was priceless.
I can't see him, but all I see is the little minion guy on the screen, the little artist guy who's holding down my belt, holding his pants up. So I just kind of giggled at that.
It's really funny because the first one we got that little dude, my little avatar dude, I thought it was like the cat's ass, and now I'm just like, I don't know if I'd put that anywhere anymore. Like I look like I'm ready to like get my sleeves on.
See this? I don't know if you have this on this podcast. People are gonna be going, "What is this photo they're talking about?"
We're gonna have to put it in the show notes.
No,
now.
I think you can see it. I think you'll be able to see it in the video.
Really?
So everybody will be able to appreciate the Skeevy Scott photo.
So the other side of it is like Kay looks like the class bitch from like high school in her like little avatar. Like it is ridiculous. It's like she got her like hand on her hip being like, bro.
Well, hey, I mean, the reality is what people take for granted. I can't believe how many profile photos and just walking down the street, I see people look like they're pissed at the earth. And then they wonder why things don't happen. You have a beautiful smile, everything is awesome. You're laughing the whole time. Like bring that out to the world. It's like I don't get. I mean, if I just talk to you guys like this, now we're going to talk about how Tim Ferris freaking he used me a couple years ago to do a video for him. I mean, I gave him value. I mean, you guys should go out and get value.
Dude, you got to be an actor, man.
Oh,
You're like legit, man. Like you're amazing. Seriously. If you're listening to this by podcast, you go over to our YouTube channel because, seriously, definitely. You got to get the entire.
I'm giving them a reason to watch the video. Okay, so if you listen to the podcast, go over and watch the video so you can see this little crazy avatar guy. You can see my eyes watering from like trying to act something different. I mean, it's just...
and you can go and you can go over to your YouTube channel, which has some
Yes.
hilarious shit on
Yes.
it. I was watching yesterday the Santa one. You like surprise somebody, and she's like, the lottery tickets too,
Yeah.
and I was dying laughing. So
that's got 100 and something thousand views on it. Actually.
That's
Yeah, man.
amazing. So
That-
cool.
that-
yeah,
that is-
we'll link it all up in the show notes at thelimitlesspodcast.com.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy that we decided to do video today. Like I would have got 20%. I would have got 20% of this conversation, and unfortunately, my video either I see you as blurry images or I have no video. But I mean, like
My
you
cheeks
are
hurt from smiling.
yeah, exactly.
Good.
Like I'm getting a headache because I'm smiling and laughing too much, which is always a good problem.
So to wrap
Katie-
this up, where can people find you online, Michael? Gebben.
Yeah, I mean, michaelgebben.com is the easiest way. That'll connect them to my stratosphere with my YouTube videos and everything else. So michaelgebben.com is the best place to go.
And I want to plug, because I know he won't do it himself. If you're a creative type, whether it be a designer, whether it be an artist, whatever it may be, I know that a lot of people, such as yourself, that you're listening to this, are those artist types. He has this amazing project that he just started that's specifically for types like himself that are artists. And I guess, Michael, I don't know if you want to do 30 seconds on what that's all about.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, if you loved what you had here, I mean, I do this every Thursday, and I have incredible guests on, and then I do my own, inspiration, motivational thing. But it's called Jumpstarters. So jumpstarters.net is something I've been working on. I'm having a blast. It's like breathing. I mean, right now is like breathing. This is easy, and this is what I truly want for everyone out there. I want them to truly, from the bottom of my heart, do things that they love and that lights them up, so they can get up every day just fired up, rather than like I need coffee or it's Friday or like any of that. So I want them to just love what they do, and anything is possible, just like the shirt.
I love
amazing.
it.
I started giggling halfway through because I thought you were going to say that you do impersonations and acting.
Well, I do this one, and it's kind of like okay, I won't do that much more. Sorry. I'm racist. No, I'm kidding. Anyway.
You are a beautiful soul. This was so much fun.
It's amazing.
I had a blast, guys. Well, I truly appreciate it. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So thank you guys so much.